And in running a business, that's one thing I do know. I don't have to so much worry about customers being treated right. If we treat our employees right, they're going to treat customers right.
Oh, for sure.
It's just an automatic thing.
We're from 20 to 30 sub-trades per job.
$35,000 a
You
week.
will be licensed 10 years next year.
You've mastered the trade. Now you need to master the business. Welcome to the Build Line. This is episode 6 with Heather and Jerry, and today we have a special guest, Senator Roger Niello.
Welcome. Senator Niello is currently a representative in California's 6th State Senate District, which spans Sacramento and Placer County. I've been a lifelong resident here in Sacramento, serving as CFO and general manager in your family's auto company for, over 25 years? Did I get that right?
25 years, yeah.
That's awesome. Your political background, you worked in state assembly, elected to state senate in 2022, and we are so happy that you decided to join us today. So thank you.
Thank you.
So tell us, how did you come into your realm of politics, wanting to be in politics? Give us some background on that in your story.
Well, you said lifelong resident of Sacramento County. Actually, I didn't move to Sacramento until the ripe old age of 7.
Oh.
I was born in San Francisco, and my grandfather was a Packard dealer in San Francisco. So we say since 1921, that's when he opened up his store.
Wow.
And my dad, his dad passed away fairly early, and my dad got the Volkswagen franchise here in Sacramento in 1955, and so that's when we moved here.
Wow.
And spent the rest of my life mostly in Sacramento. I went away for college and worked in public accounting for a few years, but spent 25 years sort of running car dealerships. And in that experience, I became involved in political issues, lobbying on behalf of the automobile industry in Washington, D.C., particularly for free trade issues, where most of our franchises, actually now all of them, are foreign manufacturers. And then also got involved in a lot of local issues through the Metro Chamber of Commerce. I was on the board and became the what they called president then. It's chair of the board now. And became very involved in a lot of local public policy issues. Mm-hmm. And my good friend Dave Cox was on the Sacramento County Board of Supervisors and running for the Assembly in 1998. He won the primary, so it was a foregone conclusion he'd win the general. So he and I talked about who perhaps should succeed him to the Board of Supervisors, and we decided maybe me. So he endorsed my candidacy, and I ran, and I won that election, and I was sworn into the Board of Supervisors in February of 1999. So that was the beginning of my political career. I succeeded him also into the Assembly when he went on to the Senate, and termed out of the Assembly in 2010, and then after a brief 12-year absence, came back to the legislature and the Senate in 22.
Very cool. That's
Wow.
a very impressive resume.
Yeah, it's heavy.
Yeah.
I have a confused resume because in between, in that 12 years, I also ran that Metro Chamber that I was the volunteer of. I became the president and CEO for 3 years. And then I ran a county agency up in El Dorado County on a special assignment for about 6 or 7 months after that. So I have quite a few sort of different things that I've done.
That's quite the background. How do you think that your business background and finance background has carried into politics? Because you've worked in various aspects, like you said. How does that help you, or what insight do you think you bring?
I think I bring a different insight. People come from all walks of life into politics, mostly from the public sector. So to come from the private sector is a different perspective, and not better necessarily, but different. Mm-hmm. When I was on the Board of Supervisors, we had people involved that were community activists, others that were essentially professional politicians, if you will. I don't mean that in the pejorative sense. My colleague Roger Dickinson was. And everybody brings a different perspective. And with a business background and accounting background, I'm an accountant by training and spent 3 years in public accounting. I just bring a different perspective. Again, it's not better, but it's a different way at looking at issues, and I think it's helpful.
Wow. Yeah, so you were selling cars, tangible item, and now you're kind of out there working the streets selling ideas. I mean, how is that, translate? How easy of a transition was that?
It's different. It's quite different. And I was never actually on the sales force, so my selling of cars would have been indirect. In terms of selling cars, I probably do more of that now than I did then because people contact me and I
looking for a deal.
I help make them. Everybody wants a deal, and we have nothing
funny.
but great deals too.
In every corner, there are deals all over the place.
Yes, but the selling of ideas it's not easy. Well, actually, it depends on the idea. Some may be easy to sell, but as a Republican in a institution that's significantly dominated by Democrats, there are some things that we agree on, and that selling of ideas isn't difficult. But some of my major priorities are not necessarily agreed to by the other side of the aisle. We have differences of opinion. Again, that's neither good nor bad. I just look at some issues differently. And trying to convince people to my way of thinking when they aren't there is a difficult thing. It's not easy. And with a lot of my priorities, I'll introduce bills, but lots of those won't succeed because the other side of the aisle doesn't necessarily agree. And as I say, I have become quite adroit at crashing and burning with grace and my dignity intact.
Do they not agree with the idea as much, or is it on how to get there that becomes the big hurdle?
That's a good point. And that really is the basic sort of point of disagreement. We all sort of aspire to the same thing, strong economic development, a strong economy, help to people who need it, those sorts of things. But we do differ on how to get there, and that is a fundamentally different approach.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you find the business background and moving into government and the, let's call it hoops that you have to jump through, is that I picture that as being very challenging to try to go from one aspect where you have this full control to now you've got to negotiate and you have to kind of meet in the middle somewhere. How do you navigate that? What does that look like for you?
Well, first of all, running a business doesn't mean you have full control.
No, this is true.
Right now, our company has like 800 employees, and I ran 2 dealerships that in total probably had 100 employees or close to that. And I could dictate the way we do things, but they wouldn't be done very well if people didn't agree with me.
Yeah.
So, it's sort of the same thing. You do have to make sure that if you're going to lead, there are some people behind you once you enter the contest.
Yep.
So business isn't automatically easy that way.
No.
But it is a little bit easier than in the political world. And some people liken a good way of managing government to follow a business model, but government really isn't just like business. Mm-hmm. The ultimate goals and objectives of the organizations are fundamentally different. Mm-hmm. And of course, the persuading people to your point of view is a little bit more difficult because you have ideological differences, and I'm dealing with legislators who are of the same level and authority that I am. So it's a more challenging existence, certainly. But again, running a business isn't something that you can just flip a switch and everybody will do what you want them to do.
No, that's more, your leadership style. How are you going to get everybody aboard and aligned to make that happen? And so how do you take that then to government? How do you get that alignment? What does that look like?
Well, the experience in running a business, there are some things that translate well into politics. One is management. I do have a staff, and I find people that come from business usually have more stability in their staff because people that come from business are used to managing people, and so that helps. Also, constituent relations are a lot like customer relations, and the key in both of those activities is listening. Sometimes all you need to do to a person that wants to get a point across to you is listen to them. And many times that will be a satisfaction in and of itself. So there are some experiences in business that translate well to experiences in politics.
Yeah, that's a good point. I love that.
Yeah, I sold cars for a little bit, and I took a sales class, and that's what the guy said was, if you just listen and stop talking, you'll make a better deal. And it'll be a lot easier.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah. And in business, for us, we make a decision and it kind of happens pretty quickly, because we're in charge. But in politics, you guys are making decisions and nothing happens, for a year or so, and you're fighting the fight. I mean, how do you deal with that and stay patient that it is going to happen and you made the right decision?
Well, things are slow in government. That's true. And democracy is a laborious form of government. And when you think about it, that's a good thing. In terms of having patience, I tell myself that if government were perfectly effective and efficient, then we'd be in a totalitarian system. That's the sort of system that's truly effective and efficient. So my patience is because it is a democratic system. You've got to work with other people. And I've always had a pretty good level of patience, naturally.
Well, managing 100 people, that'll happen.
Organically. It has to, or you're going to look around and you're not going to have anybody behind you.
Wow.
Yep.
That's so true. So why politics? What brought you into this? You mentioned your background, your resume, what was that calling that made you say, yeah, I want to do this?
It's a pretty out there thing. You've got to have to want it, right?
Yeah.
You're putting your whole everything out there.
Yeah, a lot of business people do get involved in advocacy, we'll say, but not a lot of them get as crazy as I did. And if you'd have told me in the beginning of 1998 that a year later I would be on the Board of Supervisors, I would have told you were crazy. That transition happened very quickly. But I'd been involved in a lot of issues. I was interested in them, and in talking with Dave Cox about potentially running for the Board of Supervisors, the circumstances were right for me because I was running 2 dealerships, but I had general managers in each one that reported to me, and so the management of those stores was pretty set. So it was a point at which I could make that switch if I wanted to. And, I didn't really want to be 80 years old and wonder what if. And I was very interested in a lot of things the Board of Supervisors was doing at the time. I didn't know that I'd go on to the Assembly, but wanted to try to have a voice in that. So I took the plunge. And that whole decision was made in about 2 months.
Wow. It kind of sucked you in and then kept you there.
Yes.
Yes,
it did.
Yeah, you were comfortable there, and what do your family say? You're like, okay, well, see you later. Now I'm going to go do this. I mean, how'd that conversation go?
Well, they've been very supportive. When, as I said, I had general managers running each of the stores, so I walked out the back door and they just reported to my older brother, Rick, who is our CEO. And my family partners, including my father, who unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago. I say unfortunately, he lived to be 10 days shy of 100, so he lived a good, long life. But he and they were very supportive of me, even when things could be controversial, and that's been satisfying. I think truth be told, they might think I'm a little crazy for doing this.
Yeah.
You
but
had a good
they've
thing going.
Yeah.
They've been
Stepped into the
supportive.
light.
And my wife and my kids have always been very supportive. My kids all walked precincts with me, so it's been very good that way.
That's awesome. I love that. Let's talk about the motivation too. What legacy would you like to leave? Right? You talk about this long resume that you didn't set out with this goal, right? So obviously now you've been doing it for quite a while, right? What is the piece that you want to leave? What does that look like?
Well, I'd want to be perceived as being effective and collaborative in whatever I accomplish. And as I said, as a minority member, I am not successful in pursuing all of the policies that I'd really like to.
Yeah.
But those that I do, I've had good luck with a lot of issues with support from Democrats. That's why I say collaborative. That's important, especially when we're dealing with a supermajority. I really can't get anything done if I don't have Democrats supporting what I'm doing. So to be effective and collaborative in whatever I accomplish is really important to me.
I think that's great. I think you touched on it, and I think it's a good segue of the political climate in California. And being in California, Jerry and I are both business owners, right? Obviously, we might have a tendency not to get too far either way. But what is your thoughts on just this notion? We travel, we see other contractors, and as soon as we say from California, you're like, oh, that's got to be really hard. It's really hard to run a business in California. And typically our response is, yes, it is. It's hard to run a business in California. How is it for you being in that minority in which is predominantly 100% a blue state? I mean, in reality.
It is, and it is difficult to do business in California. There's absolutely no doubt about that because of regulations that we have. And the challenge that we have is regulations are developed with the idea of protecting a protected class. And it's almost always either employees, consumers, or the environment. And the responsibility falls almost always on business. Sometimes it's on local governments. The state will impose mandates on school districts, counties, cities, et cetera, in regulatory form, but it's primarily on businesses. And what's lacking in that exercise is we seek to benefit one of the three protected classes by whatever regulation it is, but we don't give a lot of thought toward at least trying to equalize the burden, the cost of following the regulation with the benefit, whatever it is. And a good example of that are some that seek to benefit employees, and our wage and hour laws are some of the strictest in the country. And the requirement to take breaks, et cetera, the overtime. I had a bill that would have allowed for an employee to negotiate with an employer a 4-10-day, a 4-day, 10-hour workday, and I didn't succeed at that. And the reason in the committee was that one of the members of the committee told me, well, an employer will always take advantage of an employee if they get a chance, which I took great offense at.
Yeah.
But it's a different approach toward the employer-employee relationship. It's a different attitude toward the role of businesses, and we're much more concerned about the benefits of regulations, and we don't take a really good look at what the costs and the burdens are of regulation. And that's the genesis of why it's difficult to do business. We have a very strict regulatory regime, and it's expensive and troublesome to run a business. It's a pain in the neck sometimes.
It is. It's very hard. I think the overarching responsibility sometimes as a business owner to abide within that and file everything timely. And, oh, by the way, there's an update. You should know, like, you got to check, we put out this 800 pages. You got to know, right? While you're still trying to, run all your crews and you're
Right.
trying to still, make a profit and pay all your bills and do all these things. And sometimes it just, you seem like you can't get ahead. I don't know if that's how you feel sometimes, Jerry, but I just feel like I'm in a hamster wheel.
You can start to feel like that, but I especially the last 5-8 years, people complain. I think there's not enough rules and regulation. I got a lot of guys that I'm competing to get that I'm really not, because they're not even playing on the same field as I am. And if we're all playing, when guys tell me, oh, there's not enough, there's too many rules in California, I say, well, you're not playing. If we're all playing on the same field, then we're all playing by the same rules. Yeah. And there's always somewhere to go online and look and get to file the paperwork. I haven't really felt like, to be honest, that I was over-regulated or there was too many rules, because I always see people getting by without playing by any rules at all. And I think that rules and regulations keep us as humans in line, because if we can find a hole through to cheat, we will. So, I'm in construction, so that's what I see. I know in restaurants and the service industry, there's a lot of, it's harder for them, I think. But for me in my world, that's what I see. So I'm a little the opposite. When people start complaining, I go, no, we need more.
Well, I think what you're talking about is enforcement.
Could be.
I mean, there are laws, there are regulations, there are rules that try to level a playing field among competitors in whatever industry it is. But as you point out, there are some bad actors, like the ADU. Anchor tiny homes that committed some terrible abuse on consumers, which the Tankersley Construction Company helped a lot out on. I was very impressed
Trying
with
to
that.
save the name of contractors.
What does that look like for contractors?
It was an insult. I mean, these guys could have had a good thing, and they just screwed it all up by getting greedy and not paying attention and dotting their T's and crossing their T's and dotting their I's.
Poorly managed and breaking the law.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Simple
and
as
to
that.
Jerry's point, it's a fine line between regulation and, to your point, of protecting homeowners. And so I think for us, it's if we play by all the rules, and these are the rules, and we're playing this game, and there's somebody else who's playing a different game with a different set of rules and doing something else, how much of that is disclosed to the homeowner? But then how much of that are we protecting the homeowner? So if, company B comes in and they're $300,000 lower than us, and they go, well, I'm going to go with this guy. Well, are they really following all the rules? How does the homeowner know that, right? Are they really licensed? Are they really insured? Or do they have workers' comp? Do they have all these pieces and things that we follow the rules and we pay for, right? And that's got to go somewhere. It's my operating cost. So I walk this fine line, to your point, of how do we regulate this, but without over-regulating it, right? And educating the consumer, who might not know that they're hiring somebody that, might not be licensed and or licensed. Yeah. So talk to us a little bit about, you mentioned it, SB 517 that just passed, and, maybe give a little backstory for anybody who's listening, tuning in, doesn't know the backstory on the bill that just passed.
Yeah. Well, first of all, the business that treats customers right and follows principles and the law is going to win out eventually. Every time.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So I think that's important to keep in mind. The other thing is part of the challenge is making sure that consumers know good consuming principles, if you will. A lot of the abuses discovered with the Anchor tiny homes problem were consumers didn't make very wise decisions. Now, we passed two bills in particular. One, the other one is still in process, but my bill, just in talking with Steve Tankersley about this, he felt that if there was a disclosure with regard to subcontractors, that would help, because Anchored Tiny Homes subcontracted a significant amount, if not all of the work, and then didn't pay the subcontractors. It was almost like a Ponzi scheme. They collected money from the customers and didn't pay their subs. So that disclosure helps, but it's not going to be perfect, because a customer is still going to have to know what to do with that information. And I would point out, if a deal seems too good to be true, it almost always is. So if there's a huge difference in bids, there's got to be a reason for that.
And good tricksters out there.
Yeah, and a customer should ask, why is there that difference? So customer education and sophistication has a lot to do with it also. But I think it is the role of government to try to set up a level playing field so that competitors in the area are on a level playing field, and that customers have the information that they need in order to make wise decisions. And the disclosure of a subcontractor is one of them. The other bill that I think is still in process reclassified accessory dwelling units, ADUs, as regular home improvement, which it was not before. And so it's regulated a little bit differently, and that should help also.
What additional regulation does that help in terms of enforcement? And
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. In terms of the procedures that have to be followed by the builder, and regulations that oversee the work.
Got it. So inspections, lien releases, those kind of things.
Correct.
That makes sense.
Correct.
You know, we talk to homeowners all the time. We have people who come in, they interview us as builders, they interview us as general contractors. We want to see your work. We want to see what you do. And the thing that's always amazing to me, to your point of making smart choices, is this idea that, you know what, I'm okay with leveraging my biggest asset, and I'm going to hire the guy who's not licensed. And I don't know, it blows my mind sometimes that this discussion and the thought is that I'm okay with that. And in turn, it's the big picture, right? So what if that person's not licensed? What does that mean if they burn your house down? Like, what does that mean for now your homeowner's insurance that you're now claiming on because you hired an unlicensed contractor? And to your point, regulation and enforcement, you hired somebody who's not licensed. That's on you. And I don't know, it seems to me when I talk to these people and somebody will say, well, we decided to use Joe Schmo instead, right? And then we'll look it up and the guy's license has been expired for 3 years and he has no workers' comp on file. And it's like, did you do your homework? Did you look at that? Like, and it blows my mind every time.
I would say to a consumer, a homeowner that is thinking of dealing with an unlicensed contractor because they're less expensive, I would say, okay, that's a reasonable part of your decision, the cost, but do you think that the contractor knows that he or she needs to be licensed? And the answer would have to be yes. Either that or they're completely ignorant, in which case you'd have to question other things.
Yes.
But if they know that they're supposed to be licensed and they're not licensed, where else are they cutting corners?
Yeah.
And what impact do you think that might have on that low bid you're looking at?
Yeah.
These are common sense things.
They're common sense questions. And you would be amazed at being in this industry now for, almost 10 years, how many people have called us afterwards. Hey, you know what, actually, you guys were right. This didn't go well. Can you come and look at this? Could you give us some advice? I mean, we've been asked multiple times for people to come out to just even consult. Like, I don't even know where to go next. Like, I don't think he's going to perform. We've been at this for over a year. It's wild to me. It's just this discussion of why would you be okay with this? And so that's where I go back to I sway either way of like, how much do we regulate? And then how much of this is just, to your point, common sense?
Right.
Well, we've got these bad actors that are real good salesmen. And then they portray that they have it all together. But if you look at a general contractor, most of them, I don't know percentage-wise, but 80% of their actual labor is subcontracted out. And are they hiring, or is the general contractor hiring the right subcontractor that has all the licenses and does things all the right way? And when the price is that big of a difference, generally not. it's a lot for a homeowner to try and manage almost. Now we're almost asking them to like manage this whole, $500,000 project.
You're a CM now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Congratulations, you're construction manager. Here you go.
Something they've never done. So, yeah, and we need more education so I guess they can try to siphon out who those bad actors are.
Yeah.
Because they're putting a bad name on the rest of us and making people really weary. And they're maybe not making the best decision because they're so scared. Oh, we'll just go with this guy,
Yeah, and I think that's true. It's interesting because I know Steve was very vocal and helped speak on, the support of SB 517. And it was interesting for us because we got a lot of negative feedback on social media back from other contractors. And the discussion is that you're giving away the secret sauce for contractors. Our sub list is our secret sauce, and you're giving that away. And it was interesting in this discussion point, on social media, having back and forth with these other contractors. And it's like, well, you're not giving away the secret sauce if you're doing more than 50%. Like the homeowner should know that, right? They should know that they're actually not hiring you, Mr. Smith. They're actually going to hire, you're actually not going to be out there doing it. Actually, the majority of the work's going to be done by this individual, and being upfront with that and being honest with what that looks like. And if they have that contact info, they do. But if you're doing a good job, they're not going to go hire Jerry outside of us if we're doing what we need to do. And it was interesting hearing this dynamic from other contractors. And once I think that kind of has been vocalized more in the construction industry and the community, I think that's been resolved a little bit. But there was definitely we caught a lot of heat on social media for it.
I think those guys aren't good enough to, like I was telling you, sell their business based upon merit of their business. They're so involved in price and everything that, oh my God, if you're good enough and confident enough in your business, the homeowners, you could sell them the whole package.
Yeah.
They're not, you shouldn't have to worry about that. So there's those guys that are such an inferiority complex that any sort of thing that they'll freak out. Could have been anything.
And to clarify, it's only upon requested. You don't have to provide it when you provide your proposal.
I really have to question the whole notion to begin with. Number one, if secret sauce is an ingredient that the customer really doesn't need to know, but it tastes good, it's okay to keep that secret, like the Coca-Cola formula. But to say that for a general contractor to say that he or she does not want their customer to know the people that are going to be doing the job on their property as a result of the general contractor hiring them, I would say that is a totally inappropriate idea in the first place. They want to keep it secret who their contractors are, who their subcontractors are from the customer.
Yeah, their Rolodex. They figure their Rolodex is their, livelihood.
That makes
they're
no
hiring
sense.
the ones that we don't want to save that extra money. That's what's going on there.
That makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
If I hired a contractor to do a job, and if it was a big job, and I said, well, who are you using for framing? And if the person said, I'm not going to tell you, I said, well, then I'm not going to hire you.
Yeah. Right? When you put it in that perspective.
Yeah.
And I think inadvertently we as a company, we kind of give that away without being asked. I mean, it's transparent on our schedules. Our schedules see what trades are going to be there. It has, J.R. Brewer Drywall is in to do, tape and texture for the next 2 weeks. And so we inadvertently give it away in general, because I always want the client to feel good about it. This guy's rolling in. He's got a T-shirt on. Is this the guy that's going to be here? Yeah. It's like, is this who's going to be here? Is he going to steal my TV? I don't know. So it just,
that's good customer service, good customer communication. That your customer is what drives your business.
Yes. Always.
Yeah.
What was the 50% rule that didn't make it in to this SB 517?
You mean why?
Yeah, well, can you explain what it was and why? Because
there was a portion of it that got edited, I think is what you're referring to.
It reminds me, I was at a session the other day where a bill is still in process, but a person asked, why was this bill restricted to just these businesses? And his answer was, I don't know. That was done in the Appropriations Committee, and they didn't ask me. Sometimes you don't know exactly why a amendment is taken, and you either accept an amendment and the bill moves on, or you don't and it stops there. So it's a matter of having the bill continue to move on. I don't know exactly when and why that was done. But I think the important thing is it's not so much the percent. It's that if there are subcontractors on the job, the customer needs to know that. And if the customer wants to know who the subcontractors are, the general needs to tell them who those subcontractors are. Again, a lot of the abuses of the Anchor Tiny Homes debacle was because a lot of consumers made some unwise decisions. But that point aside, if this law was in place, it would have allowed consumers, if they so choose, to make better decisions.
Yeah. How do you think CSLB can improve on the enforcement of that? Your standpoint on that, given that they were licensed, how they were operating, how do you see that needs to change, or what do you feel like should change?
Well, if that other bill is also passed, which makes ADUs like home improvement laws, that brings it in to the purview of county building and county and city building inspectors, so that would help. But other than that, the effectiveness of regulations is only as good as the enforcement body being able to know about it. Mm-hmm. And that has to come from abuses that are recognized and reported by customers.
Do you think that CSLB has done a good job with the enforcement as it comes to Anchor's Tiny Homes and the other things that are going on with construction regulation?
With regard to Anchor Tiny Homes, I can't say yes because they really didn't know until it was too late. Mm-hmm. And then it becomes a law enforcement issue, mm-hmm. which is really the district attorney of the Sacramento County that has that in their purview at this point, and they have had. I don't know what the status of that is at this point.
So who regulates us?
Contractors?
Yeah.
The CSLB.
That's our
that's our governing piece that regulates that, right? And I think I'm curious because having been somebody who just this year we got an EDD audit. So full audit, came to the office, had to turn everything over, right? Everything that they wanted and they could ask. And I thought it was interesting from the perspective of being a general contractor, because one of the items that I got asked in our EDD audit is, we need a list of every single subcontractor that you've paid this year. I am a very large general contractor. And we want a copy of every single subcontractor that you have used and a copy of all their licenses. And my response was, do you know how many I have in my Rolodex right now of people that we have paid this year? I said, if there are individuals you would like me to confirm and show you, and we keep workers' comp on file, we keep, general liability on file for every single sub that we utilize, I will provide that to you. I said, but it is not my job to then give that all to you and regulate all this, right? And so I think it's interesting because some onus I felt like was put back on us as GCs, and it is our job to make sure that our subs are up to date with their workers' comp and, general liability. Because if something happens, obviously, we're liable, they're liable, we have to sort this out with the homeowner. But it was amazing to me that the due diligence and the onus was back on us to then provide it back to EDD in this audit form. And so I was kind of blown away when it came to that. I'm like, oh my God, do you know how many? That would be over 400 individual businesses I'd have to go pull.
Well, I would imagine they're trying to find out if there are businesses out there that aren't on their radar.
Yeah.
That's not your responsibility.
That's exactly my response, actually.
I would agree with you on that. I think that's excessive record requests.
Yeah. It was interesting. It was a stressful, back to your point of how much that costs, right? Yeah. That's a stressful 3 days, right? Not to mention all the prep and everything my controller had to do and myself, and then sitting in interviews and audits for 3 days, right? Of what that actually cost me, cost my company as well.
Right.
So it was interesting.
Ballpark it.
That. Oh, it cost us at least, I would say, between my time and my lost revenue and what I need to do, at least $10,000, at least from my time and what I paid my controller to get ready for the audit. Wow. Easily. right? To then, I mean, the good news for us is we got money back, but
Well, that's the good
which
news.
was amazing because I didn't think that ever happened. But yeah, but it's interesting though when you go through that because we'd never experienced an audit, so I'm like, okay, well, what's this going to entail? What does this actually look like? So it was an interesting piece.
Yeah.
Jerry, be happy you're not a GC.
I'm happy every day of that. I'm happy to know just a couple things and move forward.
But I think it goes back to it's hard to do business in California. And it's just, again, it's back to that overarching theme I feel like we keep touching on here, right? Pick a license, pick a lane, pick a regulation. It's hard. It's hard to do business here and be successful and be not bitter, I guess maybe is the right way to do it, right? Hey, I'm just going to pack this up. I'm going to take my whole operation. I'm going to get Jerry, my best drywall guy, to move with me, and we're going to
Idaho. Yep.
We're out, right? How can California help support businesses more? What does that look like for us? What does that look like for small business owners?
Yeah, what can we do?
Well, first of all, you can advocate just like anybody else, but you probably don't have time.
yeah. I'll fit that in the morning.
That's when a lot of trade organizations come into play, chambers of commerce, contractors organizations. Associated General Contractors is a very effective advocacy outfit. Chambers of Commerce are. The grocers have an organization. There's the Business Roundtable. So those are the entities that can help advocate, help lobby. And probably be a good idea for any contractor to know their local representatives, the assembly representative or senator. I'm thinking that you guys might live in the 6th Senate District, so if that's the case, you're looking at him. But that's one way. But in terms of what the state can do, it gets back to what I talked about before, and I call it an economic development ethic, and that is, if government truly has an economic development ethic, knowing that regulations aren't bad. I'm not opposed to regulations, but if you are going to regulate, you need to make sure that the burden on business does not significantly exceed the quantifiable benefit of the regulation to whomever it is that you're trying to protect or help. And we don't do that. We don't have an economic development ethic in California.
No, it's an employer. It's not an employee friendly. It's employee friendly state, not an employer, right? It's hard as an employer to sit here and feel like you're empowered for that. It feels like your employees have the power.
Yeah, the bad actors have ruined it for us good ones.
Yes.
Yeah, that happens too. Again, that's largely an issue of enforcement. And if you see that, you can report those things. County building inspection departments, to the CSLB, if it's egregious enough, to the district attorney.
Yeah.
The enforcement. It sounds like enforcement is what we need a little bit more of.
Perhaps. Yeah.
I think that's probably the thing that Jerry and I have chatted about, and we've had this discussion internally with that when we get people that decide that they're going to pay somebody cash. They're not going to actually follow the rules. They're not going to actually get a permit, right? And we see plenty of contractors, well, we don't need to do that, and we'll miss out on that because of those things. And we're over here trying to play by those rules. And so I think that's the hardest part for us.
And that gets back to smart consumers, too.
Yeah. Yeah, educating them is the big thing. And that's what Steve's been big on that for years now, always trying to educate. And I think that's why he started the Instagram thing was in the beginning. I remember it was a lot of, hey, we need to educate people on what we're really doing and who we are.
Yeah, and you do a great job on that I think we both do on our social platforms of educating the consumer of what does that look like in helping inform and make that decision. Because I think the days of I'm going to hire my buddy who does this on the side and works out of his truck and we don't need to pull a permit. There's too much risk now. There's way too much risk. There's too much risk of somebody getting injured or damaging your home or, what does that actually look like? It's so different, I feel like, than 40, 30 years ago.
And prices are so extravagant.
Yes.
It's not an easy decision now.
Yes. Yeah, when you
Yeah.
wrap it all up together,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Of what that cost
Costs
is.
are high. But maybe this podcast, your 6th episode now, maybe it'll take off and have 1 million viewers, and you can start trying to educate consumers.
We're trying. We're trying to put it out there. Jerry does a good job of that. Jerry's
Yeah.
always talking about that.
Just want everybody to know what's up, you know?
Yeah,
The
it's
community, what's good for the community is good for us, and you want to see everybody happy, and you don't want any of these ADU guys ruining the name that we've built and the reputation that we've built over, you know, the decades of doing it. And that's what sucks to see. You know, you work so hard for something in an industry you've spent your whole life doing, and then you get these other guys just coming in and screwing around.
But
true. Yeah.
in the end, the people that play right, treat customers right, have a good reputation.
That comes with wisdom. These things that you're saying are wisdom. You need
Yeah,
years.
yeah. We need more wisdom. Yeah.
We
How
don't
do we
have the years yet
instill-
to sleep with that, to have that wisdom right away.
It doesn't happen immediately,
Right.
but the things you do will reflect well. As an example, Tankersley Construction helped out a lot of people that were left high and dry by Anchor Tiny Homes. Also doing tremendous work with the Rancho Cordova Food Bank in that project that they have, building the equivalent of a grocery store as a food bank. And I know that Tankersley Construction is doing a lot of great work there, and
Very true.
and
Yeah.
the executive director is very thankful. for
Yeah,
that.
that's been such a great partnership between a public entity and their needs, and meeting them at a place of, this is what we need, this is where we're at, and we're stuck. I mean, they were already at 50%, I would say, construction documents when we got brought in. And really, in a matter of 6 months, we got them to a full construction set of drawings with an architect we brought on board, all of their permitting documents that they needed in for permitting, a permit issued, and demo ready to go in less than 6 months. And that was a collaborative effort amongst, everybody on the team, engineers, architects, the city of Rancho Cordova, everybody working together, and the executive directors and the owners actually putting forth the smart decisions quickly. How do we move to the next step? We want to keep moving, and we want to make sure that we can secure our funding and we know what our budget is. And so it's been such a great project to work on. And I think it's such a great example of when you have a buy-in from a city entity and, a nonprofit sector with a very motivated executive director, how quickly that can actually go and how well it can go. Because we designed it within their budget that they wanted to spend on the job. We actually came in almost $1 million under what they had originally thought it was going to cost. But that was also taking into account, how can we construct this a little bit different to save you some money on, these various aspects. And let's redesign this and tweak this a little bit to make that fall within what you want. And so we're very proud of it. We're at drywall right now, and we're getting ready to site grade, and we're targeting a spring turnover to them. So it's been very fun.
And you are also named one of the best places to work for businesses your size.
We did get that award this year. We're 4 years in the running now. So that's been I always say that's my award I'm the proudest of, because fastest growing business, all these other ones, like, that's great, right? But best places to work, like, those are the people that are showing up to put work in place and come here every day and spend the majority of their time with myself and your other coworkers more than your family. And so we really try to make sure that this is a place that people want to come to work, but we also take care of our people. So,
and in running a business, that's one thing I do know. I don't have to so much worry about customers being treated right. If we treat our employees right, they're going to treat customers right.
Oh, for sure.
It's just an automatic thing.
Yes. Yeah. They if they feel that they're taken care of, and I think you feel the same way within your business too, Jerry, that if they feel like they're taken care of, they're going to take care of whomever they're serving.
100%.
Right?
I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just human nature.
Yes.
Simple as that.
And contractors who skimp on things, like don't get a license when they know they should get a license,
Yeah.
they're probably not overly concerned about how they treat their employees either.
No. One of the things when we started our company, and it was such an important thing for me that I wanted to make sure we had, medical's one thing. I feel like, you obviously you need medical, you need to be able to take care of your family. A 401k and a 401k plan and a plan match was a huge piece to our business. And we had to grow and we had to get there enough that we could get there in size. We could generate a plan. We could offer a plan. We could offer some kind of profit match, because we had so many individuals that were 60 plus years old that worked for us that had no retirement plan. They didn't have anything figured out of what they were going to go do. And they're out still swinging a hammer at 65 years old. And I'm looking at them going, what's your long game here? What are you going to do? Because at a certain point, your body's going to say, I don't want to carry any more 2x4s. And so that was a huge piece for us. And so now we have profit sharing, we match. That's a big thing for me, because, and I'm always advocating for anybody that works in our company. I'm like, I'm trying to give you money. Please put into your 401k so I can match you, right? So because I want to take care of you. And that's such a loyalty piece for me, because yes, we show up to serve our customers, but I'm always worried about my employees because they're worried, to your point, about the customer.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want to have a 65-year-old employee who has $100 in their savings account.
No. And then I just worry about you and I stay up at night.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't California come up with that cow savers for this particular instance?
They did. I don't think the program is terribly effective, and I also don't think that it's the government's job to provide for the retirement of all other people beyond Social Security, which the federal government already allows. Good businesses, as Tankersley Construction does, provide the option for their employees for retirement. And people have to be responsible for themselves, too, to take advantage of that.
Well, Jerry and I are also from the millennial generation, so we've just written off Social Security because that's not going to be there when we're
I just looked it up the other day. I looked it up the other day on there.
But you can apply. You're like, how old do I? I'm not there yet. So yeah, I mean, and that's coming from our generation. I mean, I think that's a key thing for us. It's like, don't bank on it.
All we've ever heard is it's not going to be there.
Yeah.
Well, I always kind of assumed that too, but for me it hung on, but it is hanging on. The system needs work, and right now that's not being attended to.
And there's a lot of things that aren't being attended to, but we won't go there. Yeah. That's very true. What insight do you have, or initiatives you'd like to share, or anything else that you've got coming up that you'd like for our audience to know? What are you working on?
Well, one thing I have been working on, it has to do with something that just happened this last weekend.
Oh.
The time change.
Oh, the infamous time change bill that hasn't actually gone. I remember voting for that.
I voted.
Yes, me too.
And I want my results.
Yeah, my kids get up too early. What are we doing about this? Come on.
A lot of people don't understand exactly what that proposition did. What the proposition did was allowed the legislature to go to permanent daylight saving time if the federal government allows it. The federal government doesn't allow it.
Why is that?
I have no idea, but Congress has not come to any agreed upon plan. As I have stated it, and this is probably true in Congress as well as it is true in the legislature here, because I've not been successful yet either, everybody agrees that we have to ditch the switch. It's just that not everybody agrees which switch to ditch, whether to go to permanent daylight saving or permanent standard time. My proposal has been permanent standard time because we can do that. We can't go to permanent daylight saving time. We can go to permanent standard time, number one. Number two, almost the entire medical community and sleep experts say that standard time fits our circadian rhythm better than daylight saving does. And the third thing is that I've been working with Oregon, Washington, Utah, Nevada, and Arizona is already on permanent standard time, so that the whole western states would be on the same time.
Nice.
Not some on, if we went permanent, not sometimes some daylight saving and some standard time. We would agree on that. Mexico is on permanent standard time too. So those are the primary reasons. But the reason that we haven't been successful is that old thing that I said before, not everybody agrees which switch to ditch. So
and to educate the audience, so when you're saying standard time, you're saying the daylight savings is being recorded November 3rd. So that would be the fall back
fall back.
right?
Right now we are on standard time.
Okay.
We were on daylight saving time before.
So
and
we
the
would
difference
not
is,
spring forward, basically, if this went into effect.
and the difference is, as you will notice now, it's lighter early in the morning, and it gets darker earlier in the evening. And we've gone to permanent daylight saving time nationally a couple of times, and it hasn't worked. The last time was in the late 70s. It was supposedly an energy-saving move. That has been debunked, long debunked. But the plan in the early 70s was to go to permanent daylight saving time for 3 or 4 years. We abandoned it after 1 year because people didn't like it. And one of the reasons was that the early morning at this time of year was darker, and kids were going to school when it was dark as opposed to when it was light. Now, other people say people are driving home now and it's darker. Yeah. But kids aren't walking home from school then. So it has been unsuccessful to the couple of times that we've tried permanent daylight saving time.
So we'll see that about the time we see our Social Security card.
Yeah.
Social Security check
The
in.
same,
It could be because we just can't agree on which switch to ditch.
Yeah, I think for all the moms out there, I'm going to advocate for let's drop that, because my kid's up at 5 a.m. with the time switch. We're gonna suffer for like a whole couple weeks now. So I would appreciate that.
Yeah.
So whatever you can do.
Yeah, we're working on it. I've worked continually to try to get the responsibility for title and summary statements on propositions to be transferred from the Attorney General to the ledge analyst, because the Attorney General usually has a dog in the fight. Like Proposition 47 of 2015, which was the proposition that decriminalized a lot of crimes and was supposed to be criminal justice reform, but resulted in a lot of unintended consequences that a year ago, Proposition 36 was on the ballot to reform. That original proposition was called the Safe Neighborhoods and Schools Act, because Kamala Harris was Attorney General and she wanted it to pass. And there are lots of other examples of that, whereas the legislative analyst is the impartial analyst for the legislature, and they truly are. And they write the detailed analyses for all propositions. So to just tag on a summary statement would be no additional work for them. But I have not succeeded at that because the Attorney General is a member of the majority party, has been for the last 25 years, and probably will be in the foreseeable future. So Democratic leadership does not want to give that up, even though a lot of Democrats agree with me, because the bill 2 times since I've been back has passed out of the Senate Elections Committee, either unanimously or virtually unanimously, but then it goes to the Appropriations Committee with really no fiscal impact, but it disappears in appropriations. It never comes out again. So we'll continue working on that just the same.
What's the feedback from that? Why do you think it hasn't moved past that?
Because the leadership, Democratic leadership, wants the partisan Attorney General to continue to have the power to write those title and summary statements.
Yeah, so just
You'd
more
be surprised how many people vote on a proposition just based upon that title and summary statement, without reading anything else.
Without anything else beyond it.
I have not wanted to believe that, but I found out in talking to people that it indeed happens more than I would care to admit.
Yeah. So making that non-biased would be
it
the
needs
best.
to be as impartial as possible, and lots of times it's not.
That's interesting.
So more committees.
More I think
more everything.
Yeah, I think more the transparency piece behind it. It sounds like is the goal overall, without shedding or casting a certain direction either way, to try to make that from a viewpoint that's, to your point, unbiased.
Correct.
Yeah, I think that's good. What else? We have some lightning round questions here. Jerry, we're gonna let you roll with it.
Hey, now hold on. We in government, we don't move fast.
Oh, okay. How about one question? It's a good one, though. Should be an easy one.
Throw as many at me as you want.
I guess if you had to pick one, what would be your car to go for in the Niello lineup?
Ooh.
People ask me that. And, we have 10 dealerships, I don't know, 8 different franchises roughly. That would be like I have 5 kids and 6 grandkids. And that would be like you asking me, tell me who your favorite kid is, or tell me who your favorite grandkid is. I won't answer that question. The closest I will come to it is I prefer driving sports sedans.
Typical politician answer.
Yeah, this is true.
That's what that was.
I know.
Ooh, that hurts.
Ouch. Ouch.
Well,
We're going to go inventory
here's
the
when
parking lot, actually, and
you
see what
know
you drive.
that people in Sacramento will take your license plate frame and put it on their car, even if they did not buy one from Niello. That's how prestigious the name is.
Well, that's really nice to hear.
So they'll take Cars for Less and throw it away and steal somebody else's Niello and put it on there.
My brothers have come across Niello license plate frames for sale on eBay.
Yeah.
And the more valuable ones are license plate frames that say Lasher Niello, because when we first came to Sacramento, my dad and Wes Lasher were partners in that first Volkswagen dealership. They eventually split off for opportunity reasons. They were still great friends. But that absolutely shocked me that they would be for sale on eBay.
I love
funny.
that. I love that. So we play a little game here at the very end. So I do need you to get out your phone. We always like to judge us of who's the most important person in the room. I'm pretty sure Senator Niello is going to beat us here. So what we need to recap on is how many calls and or text messages have you gotten during the recording of this podcast? I am 1 for 5 right now. I'd like to point out Jerry's way more important than me. So I think
got
you're going to
more
beat us today.
problems.
I have, between a couple of email accounts, 20 emails, but my text messages, for some reason, exploded. And I've got
More important.
21 text messages, but they're all my family.
Oh, those still count.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all family. And
Most important.
They're pictures of somebody's house being remodeled. Oh, that's our house up at Tahoe being remodeled. So that blew up. But the house didn't blow up.
Oh, no, yeah, I was saying,
text messages
I hope
blew
not.
up. So, but 20 email messages.
20 email. What
Yeah,
you
I
got,
got
Jerry?
7
Oh.
between the two.
I have a practice update for my kids, so I'm definitely the loser today. So yeah, I'm pretty sure Senator Niello here has beat us. I'm now
That
one
was
for
bound to happen.
I'm 1 for 6. So still, well, it has been a pleasure having you on, chatting about all of our gripes and concerns in the construction industry. But I think the big overarching theme of what's going on in California, what's going on being a business owner in California, what we're putting in place, how we're making that happen. And just, I think overall, just our feedback that we get to give you direct. I always appreciate that. And you're always open. And I know Steve's had the pleasure of getting to come to your office and make those introductions and those chats. So I do appreciate you coming on today.
I really appreciated his support for that bill, too. That helped quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice to know you're out there fighting for us. So thanks.
We're working on it. And anytime you see me doing something that you might take exception to, don't hesitate to tell me.
I love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks. So that was episode 6, guys. Follow us everywhere that we are, and we're everywhere. Spotify, YouTube, the iTunes podcast.
Like, subscribe,
all
follow
of
us on
it.
Instagram.
Yes, please do. Send them. If you send the Instagrams, that really helps us to get more followers, which leads to more views, which could lead to more episodes. So
Yeah, we got some cool stuff coming up. We got some other exciting, few more guests, few more Jerry and Heather debates here coming up. So
yeah, we got some good ones.
lots of content coming up.
All right. Thanks, guys.